Hey guys, welcome to History with Zag. Today we're in Nawlinz and we're going to see a bunch of different spots around here that is definitely going to catch your fancy. But today, right now, we are outside of the World War II Museum in Nawlinz. So it's huge, it's grand, it's great, and we're going to go take a look inside.
What do you think's inside, Zag?
Probably the Lost Ark. Hey guys, so we made it inside of the museum. This is the World War II National Museum. To give you a little bit of context of what we're looking at here, World War II was the deadliest war in human history. It lasted from 1939 to 1945 and included over 30 different countries, and millions were dead, with the Jewish Holocaust and, Doomsday. There was just so much people that died, so many major events in human history, and this is it. This is where we get to look at everything. So we're not allowed to take any videos inside, but we can take a couple of pictures, and we'll show you around.
It is Bay coming back to talk about World War II, and these are the pictures we took. I hope you enjoy. There are a lot of the exhibits, and there's quite a lot. It's very artsy and interesting, and for someone who doesn't like history, it was pretty cool.
Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed the World War II Museum. I thought it was fascinating, one of the best museums I've ever been to, if I don't say so myself. But if we just want to backtrack a little bit more, I kind of want to give you the overall history of New Orleans as I see it. First off, it was called La Nouvelle Orleans in 1718, it was a French territory that was established by Jean-Baptiste Moynier de Benneville, which is actually a street here in New Orleans. So this was, like I said, established in 1718 and held for a little bit until after France saw Britain win the French and Indian War and decided, you know what, we don't need this anymore, and they give it to Spain. And Spain holds this throughout all the 1700s. Spain offers something a little different, obviously a different culture, a different politics. The way they rule the area is going to be different, but they do give some infrastructure to the place. They switch from wooden houses to stone houses, they add more streets, they expand on the French Quarter established by the French, and mix the cultures. So now we don't have French, but we have French and Spanish. This lasts, like I said, until about 1800, where they want to give this back to France, and France says, okay, we'll take it back. But this only lasts for about 3 years when Napoleon Bonaparte of France decides to sell this to Thomas Jefferson, what is known as the Louisiana Purchase, in 1803. And so this is the point where this becomes a United States city and will stay that way until today. So moving forward, we still see that Spanish and French influence and United States influence, and when you all mix that together culturally, we get this Creole population, where it's these people, sometimes of French blood, maybe of the slaves back in the day, whatever it may be, these old-time people have these descendants of today, and they've helped to create this sophisticated and cosmopolitan culture. And it's something so unique that we really don't see anywhere else in the world. But moving forward, not only do we have this Creole population, which is unique, we also have a Mardi Gras, which is a vast celebration of people with masks and beads and, of course, drinks. And it's just a fantastic party that you can't find anywhere else. And we also have the creation of jazz music. It was birthed in this city. We'll talk about this more when we talk about Louis Armstrong. And when you walk down Bourbon Street, it's just everywhere. It's a great experience. But one thing I do want to say is when you come to New Orleans, or when you watch this video, it's got a lot of highs, but it's also got a lot of lows, and it just speaks to the perseverance of the people. Just like a lot of United States It went through slavery. It's a southern town, and the atrocities that happen with that can be highlighted with Delphine Laverie, which we will be talking about further. There's stuff like that, the cultural tensions with the changing of territories we also see. And then like current day with natural disasters like Hurricane Katrina. It's had its ups and downs, but the people persevere, and it creates for a unique city that you would have to see. So from here, we're going to show you a couple of the hot spots. We already showed you the World War II Museum, but we're going to show you some other places around here that are historically significant, and I hope you enjoy. For our next pit stop, we made it to St. Louis Cemetery #1, the oldest cemetery in New Orleans. Why are we here? Because the voodoo queen, Marie Laveau, is said to be buried behind these walls. Marie Laveau was born in 1801 to a Mr. Charles and Miss Margaret, and she was born as a free woman. She was part black, part white, and so this was a little bit unheard of, but she was born free, and through her communal efforts, getting involved in her community, she made a name for herself. She was a midwife, a hairdresser, and a number of odd jobs she took on just to get to know her community. But this isn't why we talk about her today. We talk about her today because of her practice of the occult. She was known of practicing an African religion called voodoo, where they would use different spices, bones, hair, different things that they found spiritually significant, and they would use that to communicate with the spirits. She was well known for this, and one of her biggest stories ever was that a wealthy man's son got in trouble for rape, and he was going to trial, and it was a slam dunk case. But the rich man went to Marie Laveau and offered her a big sum of money and said, "Please let my man go free." So what happened? She's said to have put a voodoo item underneath the judge's chair, and even though it was a slam dunk case, it said that the man walked free. People still come here today, and they write these X's on the walls, and they used to do it on her tomb, um, for a voodoo belief that if you write the 3 X's and you have a wish, you spin around 3 times. If that wish is granted, then you come back and you circle the X. So there's a lot of weird, eerie, mystical stuff going on right here, and it's a testament to the New Orleans Mardi Gras voodoo life. So if you're in New Orleans, definitely come check out St. Louis Cemetery #1. All right, so right next to Marie Laveau's tomb, just a little bit down the road, we get to a place called Armstrong Park. If you didn't know, it's named after the legendary Louis Armstrong. You know, the guy that goes, "Hold me close and hold me fast." You know, something like that. Anyways, he is almost considered the father of jazz music. He was legendary. His skills with a cornet or trumpet were unmatched, and it's awesome to be able to see that they put up a monument like this, that we get to be able to come and just remember and appreciate today. So just another like his backstory for you. He was born August 4th, 1901 in New Orleans, and he grew up, even though, some parts of New Orleans are just fabulous. He grew up in pretty desperate poverty. So he grew up with not a lot of money. And because of that, he had to end up taking a couple of odd jobs. So, you know, took a bunch of odd jobs. His biggest odd job that was most influential to his life was definitely being the lead singer on a boys' quartet. And from there, he just pushed his musical career, ended up moving to New York, where he just met big amounts of fame, and ended up dying in New York. So if you ever seen the movie Wally, you can know his music from La Vie en Rose. And, my personal favorite is What a Wonderful World. But it's just great being able to come out here and appreciate some good jazz music as a New Orleanian should.
see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. All right, so behind me right now is one of the most interesting spots in New Orleans. I didn't know about this before coming here, but after a ghost tour last night, we figured out that this was the mansion of Jacques Saint-Germain, son of Count Saint-Germain. And if you don't know, Count Saint-Germain was the right-hand man to King Louis in France. He was known around the world as someone that could speak multiple different languages. He was proficient with the violin, and he never aged. Yeah, that's a little weird, isn't it? But it was through his use of alchemy and his wild stories that people started to believe that he never aged. Count Saint Germain would go on to die in the late 1700s, but people kept having reports that he would show up at, stonemason meetings or different areas where people would just find the Count Saint Germain guy. Let's fast forward. This is the son of Count Saint-Germain, Jacques Saint-Germain, and he moves to New Orleans in about 1902, and he lives in this mansion. The special thing about this mansion is there's a little bit of vampirical situations that go on. He throws parties. A prostitute at one point throws herself out of the window covered in glass, and when the cops come to investigate, the guy says, look, it's a misunderstanding. The cops say, okay, we'll show up tomorrow at 8 a.m. and we'll figure this thing out. They show up to his house the next day because he fails to appear in court. And they look through the house because they're trying to find this guy. And they end up going to the bedroom. And they don't see anything in the bedroom. And they go to the next bedroom. And they don't find anything again. And basically, where we get is they find a pulley system. And they find that a little off. But they go down and they decide to have some of this guy's wine. It's his family wine. And they taste it, and it tastes like blood to them. But they don't think about that at first, but they go to set it down, and it slips, and it falls onto the floor, and they see the blood and the alcohol separate. And they throw up, and they're sick. They can't believe what they've just ingested. So they go to find this guy, and they never find him again. He is off the face of the earth, and no one knows what happens to Jacques Saint-Germain. This is the house where they found the blood wine. And this is the house where the offspring of Count Saint-Germain is said to have lived. So if you're in New Orleans, I'd also check this out.
So we're here in front of the Delphine Lalaurie house, which was the home of the rich socialite Madame Delphine Lalaurie in the 1800s. Around that time, what was common? Wealthy people in New Orleans throwing massive parties, luxurious parties, having basically block parties every single night. And you know what else was also unfortunately common? Slavery. And Madame Delphine Lalaurie did both, but not only did she have slaves, but she actually meticulously tortured them, actually upstairs in her third floor, what would have been in the attic. And not only did she torture them, but she mutilated them. She would gut them, pull out their intestines, she'd gouge out their eyes, she'd put them in cages and see if she can bend their bones. She kind of used them for her own sick, twisted experiments, and she actually got a kick at torturing them. There was one account of her getting so much pleasure out of whipping a young 10-year-old girl for messing up in her beauty treatments that the 10-year-old girl jumped to her own death and committed suicide because it was better than enduring the treatment of the madam. Now, she was able to cover this up for a very long time because of the money that she inherited for her two previously dead husbands. Nobody ever knows how they died, but she was very wealthy. She had a lot of money from them. And on her third husband, things were going well. They were conducting their murder, rape, torture in the attic. And one day this all got blown to the cover got blown because there was a fire. And during that fire, after evacuations, the firefighters got curious about what was behind the large door in the attic, and they found the horrors that were there. So, yeah, pretty messed up lady, pretty messed up house.
Alright,